Antics, welcome to my channel. Hope you are well today because we are truly getting into the Christmas spirit. Now this video is a DIY advent calendar sign, so a countdown to Christmas as a really nice festive decor piece where you simply move a garland along the different numbers until you reach December 25th, Christmas Day. So slightly different from your traditional advent calendar where you would get a treat, but a really nice decor piece as well that you can use year after year after year. So if it sounds like something you are interested in, then let's get crafting. I use a scrap piece of wood measuring 36.5 centimetres by 32.5 centimetres, sanding this to prep it before painting. I use Rust-Oleum chalky finish furniture paint in the colour Antique White to cover one side of my sign. Now I only needed one coat of this paint and I didn't need any primer, but if the wood was darker then this may have needed priming or two coats of this. Once I had covered the whole sign I left it to dry according to the paint drying times before I moved on to the next step. I roughly sketched out my design on the back side of the sign just to get an idea of the various sizes I needed, and then I jumped over onto my laptop. I opened up PowerPoint and adjusted the slide size to 8.5 centimetres by 32.5 centimetres for the first part of my saying, which is "Here comes" in "Here comes Santa Claus" as in the song. So once I had adjusted the slide size, then I added a text box and wrote "Here comes," adjusting the font and size to suit. Then you want to save this as a PDF file because it makes it easier to print rather than the PowerPoint. Once you have done this bit of the saying, then it's time to move on to the rest of the saying. So my Santa Claus part at the bottom was 8 centimetres by 32.5 centimetres, and the number grid in the middle was 20 centimetres by 32.5 centimetres. So once you have adjusted all the font and sizes that you like, save it as a PDF ready to be printed out. I will link all of my sizes in the description box below, as well as over on my corresponding blog post, so do check them out as well if this is a little bit confusing. Once all the words and grid was ready, I printed these out, cutting around so that there was a little bit of white left around the edge, and then I turned these over, grabbing my pencil and shaded in all of the backside of the paper where the words were. So if you're doing this, you want to turn them over, grab a pencil and shade in the whole of the backside of the paper, making sure each letter is coloured. This is because the lead will then transfer onto your wooden board once you have traced around them, which I will show you in a minute. Measuring down 8 centimetres, I drew a faint line with my pencil just so I knew roughly where the "Here comes" part of my sign was going to sit. I placed my first part of the saying in the top corner of the sign, securing it down with a bit of painter's tape. This was to make sure it stayed in place, as well as not pulling off the paint from underneath when removing it. You can also use washi tape, as this is a low stick tape as well. Using a ballpoint pen, I traced around each outline of the letters to make up the sayings. This then transferred the lead from the underneath side of the paper onto the painted sign, creating an outline for me to fill in later with some paint. Now if you are doing this, you can use a pencil as well. You just got to make sure that enough pressure is applied around each of the letters to transfer the lead, and you don't want to press too hard, causing the paper to rip, because this will ruin the effect underneath. repeat the same process for all of the remaining signs to be painted onto the sign, and then you are ready to begin painting. Using a very fine paintbrush and some black acrylic paint, I filled in the pencil outline to create my words. Now some needed an extra coat just to give it a bit more of a standing out look. I also used a stencil to put in some extra designs with the black paint, as well as mixing up some yellowy gold colour for some stars and colouring the number 25 in gold as well. Then I spray painted some drawing pins or push pins, whatever you want to call them, to hang my little wreath from for each of the numbers. So you want to line these up in the middle of the numbers to hang your wreath from. I didn't have a hammer to hand, so I had to improvise and use a rolling pin. It did the job just fine, so I went with it. Now you need to be careful that you don't hammer these in too much because it can split the wood from the other side, so you just need to keep checking each time you put in a pin. Then to make the small wreath, I used some fine garland from the works, which was £1, what a bargain, and measured this against one of the pins to make sure I got the right size so that it didn't overlap the other ones, and encircled the correct number day by day. Then to add a bit more pizzazz to the small wreath, I made a tiny bow using a small bit of ribbon, crossing this over so it resembles the breast cancer sign ribbon, so you want to cross the two ends in front of each other. Then push down the back bit to create the two loops of the bow. Using a needle and thread through and wrap this around tightly a few times, just so it keeps the ribbon bow shape. Then securing it with a knot through the thread a few times. Using another piece of ribbon and a glue gun, I wrapped a little bit around the middle just to hide the exposed thread. This will give the ribbon a nice little finished look. Then I added on a little pearl piece to give the ribbon an extra bit of decorative look before hot gluing it down on to the top of the wreath. My DIY advent calendar sign was then complete. So there you have how to make your own DIY advent calendar sign. Really nice way to smarten up your decor or add something to your decor, as well as counting down to the big day itself. I love the magical build up to Christmas, so this is a really nice way to count down to it. Now let me know in the comments below if you would change anything on the sign for yourself, so like the colours, or if you change up the sayings. I love seeing other people's ideas and inspirations for different DIYs, so please do comment below. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy the video, and the subscribe one if you want to keep up with more of my crafting and travel antics. Check my blog down below as well, because there's always a bit more information over in the blog post than there is in the video, and I will see you in the next one.